will make the dough of your choice.
Is that in here or no? What,
The recipe?
Yes.
Yeah. The no-knead bread?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, sorry.
It's the basic no-knead bread.
Do you have, can I borrow the scissors?
Yes.
Cool. So basically what you guys are going to do is in a bowl, you guys are going to trip how easy this is. So because it's going to rise for a long time, we use less yeast. Most recipes will call for like one of these or like half of these. We're just going to use a 1/4 teaspoon. And I know it sounds tempting to add more and say like, oh, I want my bread to be faster. Don't go there. It's a big mistake. You really, yeast is a great help, but it can also sabotage the bread. If you have a lot of yeast, it will eat up too quick. And like it will be over sour, and something called overproofing will happen, which is where it just like fermented too fast or too much. Doesn't have enough flour. There's not enough flour to yeast ratio, if that makes sense. So we're gonna take. Ooh, this is a big one. We're gonna take the bread flour, 3 cups.
And if you use too much yeast, it makes it what?
It makes it too overproof. Overproof. It's called. It can be overproof. Manifests itself in many ways. It can be tough. It can be too sour. It will rise, but then it will flatten. Like
So this would be a sourdough-like taste?
it's a sourdough-ish light taste. It's not as strong, but sourdough is like the master's degree of bread making. So if you're ever interested in trying that out, I can pass you down my recipe. But it's like definitely we would have to like sit down for an hour and just talk about it before you get started. It's definitely it's a little bit next level.
We're at Bread 101.
Yeah, this is bread 101. This is bread. Let's keep it.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what? If I could just get any of it down, even just pizza, my kids
Oh,
would
you
grill,
will.
you know?
Can I have some salt?
Of course.
So it is good to use kosher, just because it's a little thicky-ish, so then it doesn't melt so quick. Yeast doesn't like to be exposed to too much salt. If that makes sense. You know,
Yeah.
think about any living being doesn't like to be around salt.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And then we're gonna do a little bit of water.
Cool water.
Yes, and for a lot of methods, we use warm water because like the yeast likes to dissolve in a warm environment. But for this method, because we want it to be slow, we use cold water.
Is there any difference between like sea salt and kosher salt?
Yes, sea salt can be a little bigger, and because all sea salts come from different places, different beaches or mines or, you know, whatever. Some they're very different. So some sea salts can be really salty, some can be not salty enough.
There's an iodized difference too. Some are iodized, but some aren't, right?
Yeah, but iodized salt is the table salt, though, right?
Yeah.
So kosher salt doesn't have iodine
No.
in it?
And this is the diamond in everything I read.
Yeah.
Every chef says use diamond.
Diamond.
Don't use the other brands. There's a weight difference. So if you do it by weight,
Okay.
the volume is not the same between this one and another kosher salt.
Okay.
Oh.
Or yeah, and especially when the grains get finer.
So,
This is
yeah.
Where are you getting those?
So I'm gonna, this is the salt, we're doing 1 1/4. And then this is the key part. So I have 3 ingredients here: yeast, salt, flour. I'm just gonna give it. I like to call this the claw, and you just go like this. And like what you're doing is like just kind of like making sure that everything is evenly distributed in there. And then we're gonna add the water. It's 1 1/2. And this should be sort of like very liquidy. Not like a battery, but definitely wet and sticky. And if you'll notice that sometimes, and like if you're baking in an area that is drier than this, you'll find yourselves adding more water. Like you'll.
So it's about the consistency,
It's about
not
the
so much.
consistency.
Okay.
And you want, water is your friend in this case. So see how like I have a nice mass here, but I still have some. So I'm gonna ask Caroline to get me some water.
Okay. So you don't try and.
Oh,
get
here,
that
here.
mixed
Sorry,
in.
sorry, Mama. So I'm gonna do like this is probably I'm estimating that this is about 2 more, like another tablespoon. It's kind of like when you make pie dough. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Or sometimes you add, sometimes you add more, sometimes you add less, and you want this to all come together. I'm even gonna drop a little bit more.
Everybody, when you're ready to wash your hands, this back thing is soap. The white one is hand soap, the yellow is dish soap. There's paper towels.
And this is the bread. I'm serious. This is it. Like the guy says, don't mix more than 30 seconds. Like that's how little he wants you to knead the bread, right?
That's it.
That's it. So this guy, I know, right? It's like I was like after I made that bread for the first time, I was like, there is no excuse anybody should not be making bread. You know, it's like so cheap, and with the method is so easy, and the results are like what?
And
So
if
good.
you did knead it too much, does that make it tough?
You can.